You go first. Hey guys, it's the Tin Man. You know what this is? This is a concrete telephone pole, hydro pole, made out of concrete. It's got this little sleeve on the bottom here. That's so you can bolt it into some kind of a system, maybe add to it or something. And it's broken down at the other end here. You get to see the way it's put together with the steel part, and then it's and then you got the concrete basically poured liner. So they just have this big tube that could be open on both sides. This is one of the joints. Sorry, I'm going to start looking through the camera. So this is the one of the joints, and I'm going to see if yes, there's a joint on the bottom. So one thing about a concrete joint here that isn't really a joint at all to do with this. It's only a joint to do with the forming apparatus that is like holding this. So it just happens to maybe leave a tiny bit of a seam on there. Probably in the extent where this one right here is very raw at being it. Right, this edge right here. Sometimes there can be a bit of a thing like that, but that does not represent a structural weakness at all. Not at all. So this kind of stuff, there's a rock right there, so that can help because it's so surfaced, and maybe one edge of it was right here and something banged against it and this is chipped away. Or this is a big symptom that we know that Bigfoot. So I'm just going to go along and I'm going to go to things that I believe can be them. This I can believe them doing right now as they go. But anyways, just hold on. We're going to see a whole bunch of cracks here. We see nothing much for cracking along in this area here. We see some there. We start to see more around here. More around here. That almost looks like, you know, somebody could say, oh, it's been dropped on this big boulder here, and that's why that's happening. And fine. I was looking to see if it does go all the way around or not. Look at that rock wedged in there. Oops, gotta pull up my pants, somebody's driving past. Anyways, so if we keep looking at this, you start to see where more and more kind of fresh work is happening and being chipped away and spread open and stuff like that. So this is the big reason why these guys aren't willing to use these poles, because they started using them for a while and then they almost completely quit using them. And the reason would be exactly that, is because, as I keep telling you, that's what these creatures do. See, we could look maybe right in there. Does that crack continue deeper? Or is it only on that much of a surface? Because here's starting. This is kind of how they do it. They just keep, let's go over it and let's go over it. Eventually it gets to this stage. Eventually it gets to that stage, and so on and so forth. You start to realize that you start to look at all these little cracks you think are just cracks on the road. Lots of them you realize are being picked at little valleys. Look at it as a valley instead of a crack. And here, so I did come and look at this end just to see if they would have any interest at this end or whatever. You see how it's nicely cleaned up and stuff? Could have been when they brought it here or whatever, but that sure is very cleaned up is what I noticed. So, you know, if this got banged around a little bit when it was being brought to the site, it sure hasn't done much for having, I didn't even go to that far to rubbing all the way down here and stuff, but no grime on there. And I mean, if you look at the rest of it right here, it still has its dirt like grime, but that's even pretty cleaned up too. So who knows, they start somewhere and they could be working that, or that, you know, it's easy to say that's silly. I understand that. But I'm showing you the mouse holes and the cockroach holes in the world. I'm not just showing you this great big guy that's hiding right in amongst those bush right there looking at me right now. By the way, Ape Island. Right there's Ape Island. So 7-8 minutes left of tape. So I'm just going to do this and give us a little bit of a view of Ape Island. And I hope I don't shake the pole too much. And that'll be it. So peace out now, but hold on for a minute. One thing I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom you. That's not Ape Island, it's on the other side of that berm. Boop, boop. There you go, full zoom. Gotta do another click here. I gotta get you back into view a bit so I can see you. There you go. Sorry. I'm almost falling, that's all. Challenge yourself. If I do fall, I won't break. I'll save myself.